Hey guys, it's your boy, Dynamics. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some horror short films. Now, me myself, I'm a big horror fan, you know, man likes his horror, so I thought, why not, let's have a little look at some horror short films. So if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, as always, go down there and smash that like button, and whilst you're down there, press that big red sexy button that says subscribe and press the bell to be notified every time when I upload a banger onto your recommended page. But without the yippee yapper, let's get into this, guys. So here we are, an amazing channel. It's called Llama Art. Shout out to it. It produces some amazing high quality horror stories. And so for our first one, we're going to be looking at Camping Horror Story Part 3 animated. Let's go. Come on.
My friend and I would go to this forest we found a few months ago. It was a 20-minute bike ride plus a mile walk to get where we used to camp.
Spooky
We made a
forest.
teepee as our base and even sharpened a few sticks in case we had to fight anything. I know it's dumb, but we thought it was super cool at the time, being 14 years old. I'm a big fan
Young
of
and
horror
impressionable.
movies. I'd make my friend watch them with me all the time, and he hated it. He would always get paranoid that someone or something was gonna get us when we were there. That's how we came up with the idea to make a teepee and wooden spears, so we wouldn't be attacked. We were finishing the school year online and had to study for finals, so we hadn't been back to the forest in weeks.
You studying?
After the finals were all said and done, we decided to take a trip up there to relax and check to see if our teepee was still there. Our parents agreed to let us stay there on the basis that we'd keep in touch throughout the night. We didn't tell our parents
Keep your kids
this,
safe.
but we would always take a big buck knife and a hatchet with us. We really thought we were manly. Anyway, when we were gathering our stuff for the night in the forest, we noticed that the buck knife was missing.
Oh,
We thought nothing of it and assumed we'd just left it at the forest the last time we were there.
you could have done.
On the bike ride there, my friend was on edge. We just watched a scary movie and he was being a wimp as usual. At around 8 p.m., we arrived at the rough part of the forest, where we had to continue the rest of the journey on foot. As we were walking, we smelled a terrible stench in the air. I couldn't locate or tell what it was. This, of course, made my friend think that there was a dead body and said we needed to leave right away.
You might be right, you know.
I told him that he was being a wimp and overreacting.
Wimps
The
nowadays.
crunching of the fall leaves began to sound like squelching. As we peered down, we saw a trail of red leading up to where our teepee was.
Oh.
This really freaked my friend out. I told him I'd spotted a can of spray paint in the trash a mile back and that someone was probably playing a prank, just to calm him down. The closer we got to our base, the stronger the smell became.
Oh, someone's dead out
When we
here.
finally got there, we saw our teepee and felt a huge wave of relief come over us, even though the smell was as pungent as ever. We peeked inside the teepee through the little door flap we had made, and what we saw was haunting. There was evidence of someone living there. The clothes looked like men's, and they were huge.
You got
We
all in the
continued
sky.
to investigate the site. Behind the teepee was 2 rotting deer carcasses with a wooden spear in one and a buck knife in the eye of the other. At this point, my friend was already running back to our bikes, but I stupidly stayed for a little longer to scope out the area.
You
I
dumb
was
bitch.
greeted by a deep, monstrous voice. "Would you like to live with me forever?" As I
Bro, what a nonce! I'm sorry, that is the nonsest thing I've ever heard, fam. That is nonsy, bro. Man literally said, "Do you want to live with me forever?" That is the nonsiest thing I've ever heard.
slowly turned around, I was confronted by a creepy old man. I couldn't even begin to describe his face.
Jesus Christ.
It was unlike anything I'd ever seen in my life.
Jesus.
I bolted back to my friend. Luckily, he's a slow runner, so it was easy to catch up to him. We then biked back as fast as we could, not looking back.
What a nonce, bro. Yeah, guys, make sure if you're going anywhere, you make sure the place you're going to has not got a nonce killing deers and laying his noncy ass clothes out on your wooden sticker area, however they call it, bro. Jesus, man. Bro, bro, Jesus. I guess, guys, I'm in college at the moment, so why don't we watch a College Horror Story 2 animated? Do we need to see your merch?
Back when I was in college, me and my best friend Miko heard a rumor that our dormitory was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical. I could see why the rumor started. Our dorm was kinda creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed a hot cup of coffee in the sink and said, "If this cup magically empties itself by the time we get back from school, I'll believe you." "Deal. Wanna bet on it?" "Come on, you won't bet on it because you know you'll lose." When I arrived home, I noticed Miko was asleep. It seemed quite weird as he would normally be playing games or cooking in the kitchen. I put my bag on the table and noticed the cup in the sink. I knew it, I said to myself. I started to pour the coffee away when my phone vibrated. "Why are you calling me?" I thought perhaps he left his phone at school. I answered.
Is that not him?
"Hello?" "Hey, just eat without me tonight if you're hungry. I'm still at the store getting food supplies for next week. I grabbed some coffee. I noticed we're almost out. Oh, and I tried looking for that green sauce you put in your homemade burgers. No luck, though." "But, wait, another checkout just opened. I'll cook tonight. I shouldn't be too long. See ya." I was confused. My eyes darted around the room as I tried to gather my thoughts. That's when I realized something.
Oh my god!
I was too freaked out at this point. No! No! "Hey, I hope you're hungry." Oh.
Bro, it's a demon! Bro, his friends turned into demons! Man got abducted by... Bro! Man got abducted by flipping Freddy Krueger? Bro, we need to start putting some Yellow Page adverts out. We need to try and get some missing persons advert. We need to try and find the real one of these guys, fam. Because these demons here, they're replacing them, and we need to find the real ones. Come on, guys. Let's find find these guys, and let's bring them back to normal reality. Because there's a demon out there who's destroying people's lives at university dorms. And funnily enough, we've got another college one to watch here. We've got College Horror Story Animated, the very first one. Oh god, let's see what this one's got to offer.
It was an early morning. My campus didn't offer housing and I lived about a half a mile from school, so I started my journey as usual while playing on my phone. I glanced up to see an old man heading towards me on a bicycle. Normally, I'd step aside to let bikers and skaters pass, but he braked instead. I stopped too, wondering if there was something wrong. He walked up to me and said,
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
I felt chills instantly. I didn't know what to think. I just looked up at him with a fearful and confused expression. I was gathering up the courage to tell him that I was late for class and I should go, but before I could say anything, he said,
"Get off the grass!"
Looking down, I noticed I'd stepped over towards the road and onto the grass. I stepped off slowly and he said,
"You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
Bro, what
He
a
raised his
nonce.
finger and asked me what my name was.
What a
I told him,
nonce.
and he replied.
"Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
The same chills ran through my body again, but before I could say anything, the man said,
"Get off the grass! You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?"
I looked down to see that I was back on the edge of the sidewalk again. This had to be deja vu. He asked for my name once more. I said my name again, but he interrupted me before I could finish. He told me his grandchildren are down the road and needed gas money. I told him I didn't have any spare change or any change at all for that matter. He continued to ask me again, and I gave him the same answer.
It's in the grass again.
Eventually, I headed towards my school. I turned to see if he was still there, but he was gone. As I was walking, I approached the intersection. There was a truck on its side. It must have tipped over while turning the corner.
There's a bike underneath there. Is he a ghost? L4M. What? What?
If you want to help support the channel, head on over to...
Okay, I'm confused. Was he like a poltergeist or something, and he was just like, get off the grass? Unless he was saying get off the grass because the truck was about to come sliding in and they didn't want him to get hurt. Either that or he was a nonce, he didn't want the boy to come far away from him because he's trying to get the boy sent because he's a nonce. I don't know. I don't know what what was that? I don't even understand what that was. A nonce comes up to you, asking your name, and getting off the grass because you don't want to muck up your shoes. What is that? And to finish off, we've got quite a long one. We have got The Roommates animated. 10 minutes long. Oh boy. Let's see
This video is sponsored by NordVPN. More details at the end.
Yeah, let's get through this bit, please. I want to see the video.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task.
True.
Even though you interview and take the time to get to know that person,
Interview.
you don't truly find out who they are until you start living with them. I had begun searching for a roommate after I decided to leave my current residence.
Who's she?
I was contacted a couple of hours after
I've always
placing an
been
ad
there.
on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking to room with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I also apprentice at a taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class. Hope that's not weird. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
My first and most obvious
Decent
reaction
looks.
after reading the message was to check her profile. She was a medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each adorned goofy grins and held up peace signs.
Bit
Under
parties.
the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates." I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back. The sun
Is that
beat down on
her?
us as we hoisted various objects to the second floor of our new apartment. It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the porch. We
What's that beer?
reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids. And as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out.
Another
A
one.
week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box. "What you got there?" I asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
I was obviously hesitant at first, as there was no mention of this happening in the first place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting ready for work. I came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends and noticed that the freezer was nestled snugly in the lower part of the pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and changed into more comfortable clothing. After changing, I came
be
back out
comfortable.
into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed, As I turned around, I stubbed my toe on the edge of the island
Oh, that would
countertop
hurt.
and let out a long, exasperated grunt. Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan
She's
tone.
spooky, fam.
Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you.
It's fine.
She said, in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed,
spooky.
so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well, only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was
There's gonna
able
be
to
a dead
sleep
body
in a
in there,
little
I'll say
longer
that
than
now.
usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside. I turned around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry.
There's a lock on
As I
it.
did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. What the? I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood. It had started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool onto the floor. I quickly tried to
my
open the
God.
freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it.
Told you.
I don't remember seeing that before. I ran out to my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small
He's gonna
pair
try
of
and get in
bolt
there
cutters
now.
and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud.
Into the blood.
I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils. I quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to
Yeah.
myself in
You
between
should have realised
gags.
that, you dickhead.
After gaining my composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds in plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why,
It's a person.
but I
It's a
decided to
person.
open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human head. I swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards onto the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it. I then ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police. As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It
It's
was
her
her old
mate.
roommate. The one she said was moving to California. When the detective entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper. "Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town. Okay, She paused. Listen,
Bro.
I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment. She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest. The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood, read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
Bro. Ay, qué lote. Oh my god. Bro, Mum was about to get executed by the witch of fucking California. Mum was get executed, bro. Oh my god. Bro, man should be yeeted out of there when he had the chance, bro. Oh my god. Guys, if you managed to enjoy that video and you do want to see more, reactions to some horror stories or some comedy stories or whatever you want to see, as always, smash that like button, and whilst you're down there, press that big red sexy button. It says subscribe, and yeah guys, if you're not already, check out my second channel down in the description down below, top link, and I'll see you in the next video, man. Take care and peace.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely